Welcome, everybody, to We Geek Podcast. Today is May 29th, and I'm Adam, joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
What up, man? And, it's been a week.
Yeah. Yeah, it,
Yeah.
it, it has.
Yeah. Kind of wanted to open up with, our thoughts are with George Floyd's family and everyone. Everyone right now. I can't. I don't see how you could not be appalled by what happened this week.
I live in North Carolina. I look around at people who are appalled for all the wrong reasons. So I don't understand racism. I don't.
Yeah.
I get the history and the backstory and where it all comes from and stems from, but when you actually ask people, why is it that you hate people who are darker than you? Well, they live off the government, not more than white people. Well, they don't have jobs, not more than white people. Well, they're criminals, not more than white people. Like, none of it absolutely no quote-unquote reason, even though there is no reason for racism, holds water. None at all. So it just becomes, these are shit people. Like, sorry, if you're racist, you're a shit person. And if that sentence bothers you, fuck off. I don't care.
Yeah, it's odd seeing some people focus more on condemning the riots than the reason for the riots. These things don't just pop up out of nowhere. They happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And enough is enough. It's insane.
And I mean, they tried peaceful for years, and they ran Kaepernick out of the NFL for it. He took a knee. He knelt down and begged for cops to stop killing black people, and they said that's un-American. And I mean, what the fuck did you expect was ever going to happen? This I can understand because there's a logic to it. They tried everything else, so fine, burn some shit down. Like that's where this was going to go.
Yeah.
I don't. These are not people firing on police. They're not, suddenly deciding that if cops are going to kill people in black neighborhoods, then they should start killing cops back. That's not what's happening here. They're saying, look, we fucking had enough of this. Somebody's going to listen, goddammit. But the problem is, you're arguing with people who don't listen, and it's not going to change. And I can't wrap my head around this. And I made the mistake last night before I tried to go to sleep of saying, well, I'll check Twitter one more time and see what's happening. And that was when I saw the, basically we're going to federalize the National Guard and say, they can just start shooting crowds, and that came from the fucking president. So
yeah,
I don't have and that scared the hell out of me. And this is something that's never going to happen to me. Like I'm very well aware of my privilege. This is not going to be something that's going to be an issue for me. But I was fucking terrified looking at this because this just shows the depth of complete idiocy of all of this, and the fact that it is dangerous. It is lethally dangerous on a large scale, and I can't understand it. I'm glad that I can't understand it, because if I was the kind of person who could understand racism and being racist, I would hate that person. I would not want to be that person. And it's the platform we have being small or whatever that it is, I can't not at least just say something. It's fucking ridiculous that this shit keeps happening. And when it keeps happening, I mean, what did you expect? People saying, oh, well, the riots are just making them criminals. What the fuck did you expect was going to happen? You didn't listen. They tried literally everything else to be peaceful and civil and protest in ways that they thought would be white friendly. And they were constantly told, no, this isn't how you protest. Well, then, fuck it, set shit on fire. I get the logic there, because there was nothing else to do. There was this was the next logical step from this. I'm sorry, but I understand it. I'm not sitting here saying they should set more shit on fire, but I'm saying if it happens, I understand why. And I'm certainly not going to stand in anybody's way. I get it. I understand it. I can see it. But I just don't... I can't understand the other side. I can't understand why it is so hard to ask people whose job is supposed to be protect and serve to stop randomly killing black people for no reason. I don't get why that's such a hard ask. I don't get it.
15 times, I believe it was, he told him he couldn't breathe, and to sit there and watch him, and then all the other officers around him just watch it happen. It's insane to me, and it's, you know, it's a lack of empathy, I think, with a lot of people. Like, for whatever reason, they can't put themselves in someone else's shoes, and you can't really, I guess, but at least have empathy, if that makes sense. At least have a fundamental understanding of, oh shit, that's not right. I don't get why some people lack that.
No, and why so many of them are cops. And I don't want to hear about, oh, but there's good cops. If you've got 990 good cops and 10 bad cops, and none of the good cops do anything about the bad cops, you got 1,000 bad cops. I'm sorry, you have a duty, you have a civic responsibility to do something about that shit. And if you choose not to, if you choose to be complacent, then you are complicit.
I have seen a lot of cops vocal against it, and I'm glad.
I'm very happy for it, and there should be more of that. All cops should be against it. This shouldn't be a problem that they have, and police and the burden of a lot of this falls on the structure and sort of that kind of macho watching each other's back shit that sometimes overrides common decency and goodness, and, you know, not allowing racist murders.
I mean, his knee was just straight up on his trachea, just cutting off the flow of blood. Like, it was basically witnessing a murder, and he had a smirk on his face the whole time, and it is absolutely disgusting.
And the man's crime was he had a counterfeit 20. That's what he died over. That's what he was murdered over, was having a counterfeit 20. And the cop thought, well, that's fine. If he dies, he dies. I don't understand that concept that so many police officers seem to have, because it is a lot of them. We have them on tape, thinking that because they're a cop and this guy is black, if they kill him, then it's not a big deal. I don't understand it, and I can't fathom it, and I can't fathom anybody who wants to come out and try to defend that. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's no defending that. There's no defending that. It's, you know, he should have been arrested a lot sooner than he was. But
they arrested a CNN news crew before they arrested him.
Yeah, I don't know what was going through their head. Like, hey, how can we make the situation better? We'll arrest a man of color that works for the news. That's going to make the situation way better.
And the rest of his crew, and then tell CNN we arrested them because they were told to move and didn't move. And CNN said, I'm sorry, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're CN fucking N. We had cameras rolling and none of you said a goddamn thing.
Right.
So I don't understand this whole I am the law, I am above the law bullshit. I don't get it. And
it's the same reason they wear the Punisher logo on their vest. They have no idea what that even means. Like, you're not supposed to take the law into your own hands, be judge, jury, and executioner. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely ridiculous. That's not how the legal system works. But, you know, that's a whole other can of worms on how the legal system itself doesn't work. But this, It frustrates the hell out of me, and it scares me, and it doesn't even directly affect me. I cannot imagine. I genuinely cannot imagine what it's like. I thought about this last night. I've been pulled over twice in my life, both for expired registration. The second time, my driver's side window didn't work. I was trying to tell the officer that, and for whatever reason, they couldn't hear me, or whatever.
I've been there.
So I popped the door open. Just a crack. And this didn't really occur to me until last night. If I had been black, they would have shot me. I guarantee, I would almost guarantee that the immediate reaction would not have been a simple, hey, why are you opening the door? Which is what I got. And it was a nice, calm, de-escalated, I'm sorry, I tried to tell you the window wasn't working, so you need my license and stuff, yada yada, and everything was fine. I don't like my chances if I hadn't been white. I honestly don't. And that thought scares the hell out of me, because I can't imagine living with that every day.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. And and nobody should have to. But, you know, the only way that this will permanently change is through elections. Honestly, that's the only way to permanently change it, because the people in charge don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're not listening. So, you know, vote them out and get somebody else in there.
Yep, that's the only way it's going to happen.
And at every level, municipal, federal, state, what have you, all of it. That's the only way. These people won't listen, so get rid of them and put people in there that do.
Yeah.
But I can't, you know, my heart goes out to all of these families of people who even if they did something wrong, it did not deserve to die. Like,
no.
Yes, they were saying, well, he was counterfeiting. That's okay, fine, yes, criminal offense, but it's not worth the death penalty. And it's not the cop's job, it's not the arresting officer's job, who has him detained and helpless, to decide that in that moment.
Right, and there was how many of them?
Four
of them, and they couldn't. I don't understand.
No, nobody was listening. Nobody cared. There was no empathy, and it was a racist execution by police officers. That's what happened, and it's going to keep happening as long as people in charge aren't held accountable, and they don't care. None of them do. So you got to vote.
Yeah, one of the officers should have stepped in, and because they didn't, it's very clear that it wasn't just an issue with him. Obviously, that this is something that I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore.
They all three of them looked at this and said, "Yeah, this is fine." This guy's detained on the ground, begging for his life because he can't breathe. That's fine. We don't have to do anything. He's killing him. It's no big deal. These were the thoughts. These had to have been the thoughts, because otherwise there couldn't have been anything else. Otherwise somebody would have stepped in and said, "Hey, maybe let the man breathe."
Yeah.
But apparently that's asking too much.
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't get it. I don't want to get it, and it shouldn't happen. But it's going to keep happening, and we're going to keep having riots. Like, this is how this is just going to keep happening. It's been happening for years, and this started in earnest, in public glaring earnest, with Trayvon Martin, and that's been how many years now? It's ridiculous, and it's just got to stop.
Yeah.
But
man,
But, you know, all of our thoughts and well wishes go out to George Floyd's family and the families of everyone who has had this kind of tragedy happen to them. It shouldn't happen, and you know, you are being heard.
Yeah.
But you know, it comes down to elections. You have to vote people out. You have to vote out the council members and the sheriffs and the governors and the senators and so on and so on. That's really the only way to get these things to change. It shouldn't be. It should just be cops being decent people and taking responsibility for each other across the board and remembering what protect and serve really means. But, you know, for as many good cops as there are out there, genuinely, and are speaking up and making their voices heard, it's not enough. You got to get out and vote. It's the only way to make this change and make it stick.
Yep. I agree, man.
But, you know, so that's our opening soapbox for this week. I guess there was just no way to not talk about it. Like you had to. There was no. We try not to be any kind of political or anything unless it directly affects the entertainment industry, because that's what we do here. But this was just there was just no way to not talk about this. It would have been wrong to not talk about it.
100%. Yeah, you can't be quiet. You got to be vocal. You got to be disruptive when it comes to stuff like this. even though I'm at a loss for what to say because it's just crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. Definitely, like you said, you got to vote. That's the only way there's going to be change.
Yep.
Well, there's no way to transition into talking about goofy stuff like the Justice League and Venom, but we're gonna do that. But yeah. So yeah, man. Of course, this week there was no movie news. No movies came out. No box office. Nothing like that. Have you been watching anything? Have you seen anything?
What the hell did I watch? I don't think I've watched anything that's like new. I don't think. No, nothing comes to mind. I started watching The Last Dance yesterday because I want to watch the whole thing straight through. And I've seen the first 2 parts of it, and it's really good.
I hear it's great. I haven't seen the whole thing. Is it all out right now?
Yeah, it's 10 episodes. It's all aired. It's all out there.
Okay, good.
I think anybody who has like cable, I'm pretty sure it's on like everybody's like on demand service. I think I'm not sure, but
yeah.
But
no, I wanted to wait for it to all come out. Now that it's out, I'll definitely watch it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Have you been watching the? I think we talked about it last week, but have you in the week before that the Disney Plus Gallery show? Have you seen any of the new episodes?
No, I haven't yet.
One of them was really neat. It was all about the tech behind it and how he got it from. Yeah, he got it from when he was working on Animal. What was it again? The Jungle Book. Yeah,
the Jungle Book.
Yeah. And the idea of he wanted to figure out a way to make the CGI look more real with the live actors, and it was right when like virtual reality was becoming a big mainstream thing. And I don't know, it's just really interesting. And then you see how basically they built this set, and we've talked about it before. It's like this 360 set of a green screen, and they can just throw whatever up on it, and that they're moving around with, so that the actors and everyone else can get a better idea of just everything going on. I can't explain it. You got to check it out for yourself. That's been really cool to watch. I went over and spent some time with my mom on Memorial Day, and she finally watched Star Wars. So that was pretty fun. It's always good to watch. We watched, of course, the last one, Rise of Skywalker. So that was fun. They really enjoyed that. But yeah, man, the other thing I've been watching is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, let's talk Avatar. How far in have you gotten?
I'm still in the first season.
Okay.
17 or 18. I think it's called chapters, or they're like a book, right?
Yeah, because every season is a book.
Right. And hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast. Sorry, one moment.
Shit, you're chugging along. You're almost done with book 1.
Yeah, and what I could tell right off the bat, well, first of all, I really enjoy it. I can see why everyone loved this. At first glance, I guess right around this time is when I was watching Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if this came out after Dragon Ball Z was big in America, but I remember it around that time.
Oh yeah, way after.
Okay, so it was. I thought it was around the same time, but I guess I'm completely wrong.
No, because this was 2005, and Z.
3 or 4 years after I watched Dragon Ball Z.
That's fair. Yeah, Z was like late 90s, early 2000s. That's fair.
I guess I just remember being in high school and seeing Dragon Ball Z for the first time, the Frieza saga, seeing that come on Cartoon Network, and for whatever reason I wrote off Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was a stupid kid. And never really saw it. Never saw the movie.
That's fine. Don't ever watch the movie. It's terrible.
Anyway, never saw the the Last Airbender story or movie. It was on and I didn't pay attention at all, so I have no idea. But anyway, and I think that's on Netflix too. I'm not sure. But anyway, I watched. I've never seen it before, so going in, I know it's beloved. Everyone told me it's great, and it is. I love that just when you think you get an episode where you think it's a nothing's gonna happen, this means nothing. Oh, all of them are sick. Nothing's gonna be. This is gonna be like a. I don't know how to explain it, but
Filler.
like just a filler episode. Yeah. You're thrown a real hardball. You're thrown such a twist, or you're thrown like it suddenly gets really deep.
Yep.
And I love that. And it has Dave Filoni all over it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, he directed a lot of these episodes.
In fact, I can totally see now the comparisons for not the Clone Wars, but the Kylo Ren and stuff like that for this series, and how like it very much feels like who's the Fire Nation guy?
Zuko.
Yeah, he's very much like a Kylo Ren character, and like I can see that right. Like I'm like, oh, I totally understand the comparison.
Yep.
With what's going on and the everything there. So I don't know. I love it so far. I've been grinding through that. That's pretty much what I've been watching. I've been playing a lot of games. Jumped back into Overwatch a bunch with some friends, and that's been really fun to kind of get back into and figure out there's like a million more characters that I never played. But yeah, I've been jumping in there, healing. It's getting my feet wet again. That's been a blast. Played some Call of Duty. Of course, with my brother, the new season comes out, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but it starts next week. I think it's like Tuesday or something like that. There's like 4 days left for Season 3. So if you need to get through Season 3 pass, make sure you do that. They have double XP right now. I'm like 3 levels away from 100. This will be the first time I've purchased a season pass and went from level 1 to 100. Of course, not buying any levels or anything like that, but actually playing enough to get through it, which I got my money's worth. $10 for 3 months.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
And you get all this cool extra stuff. I did purchase a pack for fun because I purchased the anime pack, which made my M4 pink. And I got pink bullets, so when people die, they're killed by some guy shooting them with pink bullets. And I thought that would be lovely. That would be great. And it turns like the truck pink when I jump into it, like a big anime thing all over it. I don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's why I purchased it. But it's been really fun. The game has been such a stress reliever for me, and it's been a really cool way to jump in and hang out with family that are across the country that I for whatever reason, I don't call or FaceTime. You think it'd be just easy, hey, I can give them a call like it's nothing, but it's almost like these games are just like a reason to chat and hang out, and I look forward to it. I really do. I look forward to getting a text from my brother, hey, you want to do a few rounds in Warzone or something like that. So I've been loving that. Even like my stepdad, he never really plays the PlayStation. He plays chess and stuff like that, but he got into PlayStation with his son back in the day, and so he understands the controller and stuff like that. So he's even jumped on. So it's been fun. It's been really fun to play with family like that. But yeah, man, just a lot of that. We'll talk in a little bit about what the PlayStation games are next month, but I'm pretty excited. There's some games I'm going to be playing pretty soon. But yeah, man, I plan on the next time we talk, like we should really do like an Avatar-centric episode, even if it just like replaces one of our current ones or whatever, because I really love to dive into Avatar. I probably by the next time we talk, I'll probably finish it because It's only a couple seasons, right?
Yeah, 3 seasons.
Yeah, it like I said before, it feels so tight. Whenever you think it's like a filler episode, it's not. It's like, oh, surprise! Here's a big twist, or here's a big thing, and it for a kids show, it feels heavy. So I really do enjoy that, and it feels.
And you're still just in the first book. Like it gets. This is a show that it starts off with kind of the light and airy stuff in a sense, pun mildly intended, and then in I think it's the second or third episode they hit you with genocide, where it's like, oh shit, they're serious here.
Yeah. This seems like the perfect show to hand someone that is a kid going into their teenage years or something like that. Something where, like I said, it doesn't feel too childish, because like you said, all of the adult themes, like it very much feels like I could tell my friend whose kids are like 10 or 8 to 10 years old,
Yeah,
like, go watch Avatar, watch this and I have a feeling they'd watch it in like 2 days.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I've been enjoying it. Now that Netflix has the rights and they're doing like a live action, that's gonna be crazy, and they're doing it right this time.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, like I said, never really saw the other one, but I heard all the bad stuff about it. So yeah, man, that's really been it. I'm just been kind of hanging out, trying to stay safe, social distance, trying to stay away from everybody. But I was able to see my mom. I'm glad she's been doing the same, so we've been able to be like, okay, well, we're fine. We can see each other. But anyway, that's all I've been really doing, dude. I guess we can jump into the news, but I would love to talk about Venom when we're done with the news.
Yeah, we'll do that at the end.
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. So yeah, let's get into it. We got some movie news?
Yeah, we got a little bit. HBO Max did officially confirm, yes, for the love of God, there is a Snyder Cut. It's just not going to be finished for a year. So
yeah, now I've heard some different. Maybe and you can fill in the blanks here for me. From what I understand, it's going to cost like $20 to $30 million.
They're saying 30, but there's some that are estimating it might actually be a little more.
Okay. I understand that Henry Cavill's going to be back as Superman in it officially and in other projects. Is that right? I
had heard about the other projects, but none of the principal cast is confirmed for reshoots for this.
Okay. And some other things that I was wondering is this going to be... Are they going to try to turn this into a episodic... Like, help me out, because are they adding to it, or are they doing an edit where this is like maybe a 2 or 3 miniseries where they actually go back and reshoot some of the scenes, like for example with Henry Cavill, so he doesn't have the mustache thing and all that other stuff that people complained about?
Yeah, they're not doing that.
Okay.
The reshoots, like I said, none of the principal cast are expected to be part of the reshoots. Most of the reshoots are going to be effects shots. And probably some crowd work, maybe something with some of the not major characters, but it's not going to be a miniseries. Like, it's just going to be it's going to be a Zack Snyder. It's going to be like Watchmen was, where it's like, here's the 4-hour cut of this movie.
Gotcha.
But they are doing reshoots. They're putting the film back together. So it was a little. They're not saying they're releasing the Snyder Cut. Really, they should have said we're working with him to finish making the Snyder version of the film.
I feel like my thoughts on this have changed a little bit. I'm still in the camp of I don't like the precedent this sets.
Yeah, I don't either.
One thing I wasn't aware of that was brought to my attention was I didn't know that they raised like $150,000 for suicide prevention. That some of them who were part of the Snyder, released the Snyder Cut, actually this was turned into more of a trying to be a positive thing, because of what happened with him and his daughter and everything.
Yeah.
I think being on the I stopped paying attention to it because, like I said, I'm in the camp of put something out there. If you like it, you don't like it, that's fine. You can be critical of it. If you do like it, great. Talk with your dollars, but don't harass people. Don't harass the studio. I didn't like that they were harassing him, but then once he was like in on it, I didn't know really how to feel, especially towards him, because it was like, oh, well, he's kind of behind this, I guess. I don't know. And I think we're both kind of in the camp of, hey, put it out there, put it on this platform. That seems more responsible. It's still Warner Brothers and AT&T spending $30 million, but whatever, it's AT&T. I could give two shits. I don't care how much money they waste. But I just hope this doesn't set a bad precedence when someone doesn't like an actor or director, or they think that, well, there should be less of a female protagonist. They should recut the movie. Like, I hope it doesn't. I hope the how do you phrase it? I hope that the wrong ideas aren't taken from this.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Exactly. And so I feel for the guy. He lost his daughter, and in the process, he did step away from the film. Um, I, I, I don't think this is going to make it any better, but I guess I'm happy for the people that um, get something out of this.
These people are getting what they asked for, and I'm happy for that because it's going
they
to be
better support it.
It's still going to be terrible.
I don't think it's going to be any good. I don't think it's going to fix anything.
No, it's not. It's going to be worse.
I think that they could use their money for a different project, but
an entirely different project. They're spending more money to do reshoots on this than that could fund an entire halfway decent movie.
Right.
I mean, $30 million, I'm pretty sure, is more than the budget for Uncut Gems was, and it was actually a good movie. So there's that.
Which, by the way, is on Netflix right now.
It is indeed.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Uncut Gems, go see it. Never really a fan of Adam Sandler, but that is a great movie. Julia Fox is great in it too. So.
Yeah, Uncut Gems is strange. Like, it's intense. Uncut Gems is an intense movie.
Oh, it's nothing but anxiety. Oh, that's the other thing. Trigger warning, I guess, is if you get a ton of anxiety, just know that it is full of anxiety. He is a degenerate gambler, and it's right out there on Front Street.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold anything back, and man, did it afterwards. I was like, God, I could use a Xanax or something. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, man. Anyway, so like I said about the Snyder Cut, I wasn't aware of the suicide prevention and how some people tried to make it a good thing. So I don't know. It's gonna be there. I think I can give you a code for it too if you want to check out HBO Max.
Oh, I already got it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I have a family member that has that. So, but yeah, I checked it out. I looked around for a little bit. I was like, oh shit, Lord of the Rings. Like, it's got some to offer. Especially if you're, from what I understand, if you have HBO Now or Go, it's now Max, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought because I just use the same information, and bam, I'm there looking at everything. So
yeah, it's the same. It upgraded. There's. I know because I think we talked about this last time, was like which one doesn't upgrade, and it's one that's strange. I think it's if it's through a provider that's not AT&T.
Well, the one I have is through Spectrum, and there was no difference in price.
Well, but I mean, you have it's.
I guess we'll find out if it comes on the bill.
Yeah.
Next month, if it raises the price at all, but
I think if you're, because it's weird. There's one exception where it's like if you have this, you don't have HBO Max. It doesn't roll over to
Gotcha.
HBO Max. I think it was if it was HBO Go, because
Okay.
HBO Go and HBO Now were different.
Yeah, one's with your carrier, one is separate. One's just by itself.
Right. So HBO Now, hang on. I'm trying to, because I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure this out. Blah 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 blah. This doesn't tell me. If you pay for HBO already through cable, satellite, or whatever, like through Amazon or something like that, you use the HBO Go app to stream those shows on other devices, and good. Hell, I don't know. This doesn't actually explain it.
Yeah.
HBO Now automatically upgraded. I think it was if you had HBO Go. I'm not sure. This is not clear. This is very not
okay.
clear.
Yeah.
So I do not know.
Yeah, we'll take a look into that. Maybe we'll pull it up later in the episode to give you the final word. But I believe we have it through the carrier, and so I was able to sign into it without any issues. So I guess we'll find out next month if it increases the price. But it's got a lot to offer. If you're, there's a ton of series in there. So we'll probably be diving into that the next week or so, I imagine, to see if there's any gems in there. But one thing real fast, I didn't know, do they have the extended Lord of the Rings, or was it just the regular Lord of the Rings?
I do not know.
You know? Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably the regular.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, I'm signed in now. Let me take a look real fast.
Yeah, go for it. Tell me what you see, because I
Lord of the Rings.
I didn't even know the Lord of the Rings movies were actually on there.
Oh yeah, yeah. They left all the other services. Oh, it's down right now, so I can't use it. Maybe it's of
Of
course.
course.
Yeah. So it looks like it's just the regular one though.
I kind of figured, yeah.
I did see my brother added his name to it though. That's funny. But yeah, yeah. So,
The one
but
thing
yeah,
that
man,
was a
it's
the one thing that was a surprise was they got the rights for the Harry Potter films back.
yeah. Well, see, I thought they were gonna do Harry. From what I heard, the word was they were gonna have all the Harry Potter films for it. Was that not ahead of time?
That was not ahead of time. There
Oh,
was
wow.
talk about them actually not being able to be on there because of the they had the distribution rights were with, I want to say it was like NBC, I think,
Hmm.
or something
Okay.
like that, and it was one of those things where like they wound up just making the deal to be like, look, we just want just give us the rights back.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Absolutely. Yeah, that should. I mean, that's. I mean, it's Warner Brothers. That should be a part of it. I did see that there were some TCM movies. I was not expecting those. Some old classics.
I love that Turner Classic Movies is on there because that was a Time Warner company.
Absolutely, Little Shop of Horrors. Hard Day's Night. Like, there's some classics in there. But yeah. But Light Brigade. Yeah, it's Ben Hur. There's a ton in there, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Gone with the Wind, of course. There's some DC movies. Now that was the one that I was like, wait a second, that they really need to combine the DC app and this because there's not enough DC in this, I think.
Right.
I want to see Batman animated series in here. I want to see the Nolan films in here. Those are missing. The only CW show is Batwoman, and I understand that all the previous deals and the rights and everything else. I'm looking forward to it all being in one place.
Yeah.
I, as much as I have Netflix, I have HBO now, and it's gotten to the point where like I said, we've legitimately had to set up my buddy pays for Netflix, but he can use my HBO, and my even my dad pays for the like I have like a network where basically we get away with paying one or two services and we all kind of share.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah, and I pay for the upgraded version of Netflix so that 4 or 5 people can be on at the same time, same kind of deal. So I would love them all to be in one place where I can be like, hey, DC stuff, HBO, uh, uh, any Marvel stuff, Disney. So anyway,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
the Lord of the Rings are just the regular versions.
that's what I figured. And that makes sense. If you're a collector and you're just a hardcore lover, go get those on 4K, so or Blu-ray or whatnot. So
Yeah. I wish I and I know we've talked about this before. Like it should be an option. Like you should be able
yeah,
to switch between the two.
absolutely, absolutely.
Evidently, you
Uh,
can also download stuff like you can with Netflix and Disney Plus.
oh, that's cool.
I did not notice this. That's neat.
Now I know there's going to be some like HBO Max originals. Like I think there's going to be some animated shows. We've
Yeah,
talked about.
they've already got some of them
Yeah,
live. Originals. Here we go. Yeah, like they have like they're doing new Looney Tunes cartoons,
that's cool.
which is fantastic. I love it, and it's in the vein of like, oh, it's not how like they've tried to revamp the Looney Tunes over the last however many years. It's just old Looney Tunes cartoons.
Hmm.
Like it's the same, it's new animation style, but it's the same concept. It's the
Yeah,
same principle.
I do like that they have a Crunchyroll wrapped into it,
Yeah, yeah,
which is pretty dope. The Studio Ghibli films, of course, were all announced that they were going to be in there, so that's awesome. Like, there's so many of those movies I've never seen before.
yeah. Oh, here
That
they
that
are.
Yep, that I'm going to dive through as well. I think the only one that wasn't in there was the Firefly one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was the one film I saw missing. Let me see here. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to dive through those as well. So yeah, expect that the next week or so. Like I said, I'm going to get all through Avatar, and I kind of want to dive into some of these things on HBO Max app that I just never seen before. So
Yeah. I love going through and looking at this and seeing like even like some of the Cartoon Network stuff they have where it's like I don't care about most of this and it's like, oh hey, there's Dexter's Lab. Like
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I got a question. Who owns the History Channel?
oh,
I know that's a random question. I was watching
It
their miniseries this week, which I would highly recommend. Called it's about Grant, Ulysses S. Grant.
yeah.
And it was really good. It was like a 3 episode miniseries. But I was curious who owned that channel.
History Channel is owned by. Give me like 2 seconds. I'll be able to tell you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no worries.
it's owned by A&E Networks, which is a joint venture with Disney and Hearst Communications.
Oh, with Disney, huh?
So
Well,
it's
they have Nat Geo. I'm wondering why the History Channel stuff isn't on the Disney app as well.
because Nat Geo is its own. It's not part of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Um,
just wondering. That would be a cool thing to add as well to it. Like, oh, here's another tab that has History Channel stuff.
yeah. No,
Uh,
National Geographic is its own.
right,
It's
right,
an entire different company than the History Channel and a lot of that stuff.
right. I guess what I'm saying is it would be cool if it had like its own little tab on the Disney app as well, since I guess Disney owns part of it.
Yeah,
But
but not enough. I think it's a split partnership. They have
gotcha,
like 3/4 of National Geographic.
gotcha.
Like they
Okay,
have more than enough to be a controlling share, but I think that I think it's 50, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's 50/50.
no, that makes sense. That
Uh,
makes sense.
A&E
Yeah,
Networks. Let me see if I can find, because now I'm curious. What's the split? Yeah, it's a 50/50 split.
yeah. Okay. Oh man, it's even got I was looking at the HBO app. It's got Detective Pikachu. Great movie.
Yep.
Man, we took a turn with that one. At first, we were not liking it, and then bam, came out,
And then
loved it.
yeah, it's like, oh my god, this didn't suck.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
actually, it's
Changed-
actually pretty good. Who knew?
Absolutely, yeah. Cool. So yeah. So anyway, Justice League went over all that.
Did you see that like like the next day David Ayer came out and was like, "Hey, can I get a Suicide Squad cut?"
Right,
It's like
right.
just oh Christ, here we go. Like
Then
everybody is gonna say, well, "Where's my director's cut? Where's my director's cut?"
right, or the other demands like, hey, make Solo 2 happen and stuff like that.
Hey, I'm on board for that.
I am too. I am absolutely too. And there is a right and respectful way to go about asking for that, and I think people are. It's there's a good way to go about that. You can do the hashtag, let them know how you feel, and dude, there's a platform for it, and I'm sure it's in the works. Everything that's going on with the world right now, I think, has set a lot of announcements back. Um, uh, regarding Star Wars, things that don't really matter at the end of the day, but do, I guess. PlayStation, for example, we find out next week that what day is it? Is it
The
next
4th.
Thursday? The
Yeah,
4th.
June 4th, whenever the hell that is. I think it's Thursday, but yeah, it's June 4th.
They're going to be doing a conference, yeah. So, and
Yeah.
I imagine we would have heard all about that way prior to to now. But yeah, I don't know. So I hopefully something, because they set so much up with Solo that I find fascinating. There's so much to explore there, especially with Maul and everything else.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. But who knows? One day there's, I think we'll find out shortly. But anyway, what's some other movie news that's been happening?
What do we have here? Well, we have Good, Bad, and Undead, which
Okay.
I think this is going to be fantastic. So Jason Momoa is playing basically what sounds like a vegetarian vampire, where he's just
Wow.
he's just kind of not really, he's not the bloodthirsty Dracula kind of vampire, and but people still chase him out of villages and all that, and he's just kind of sick of it. Peter Dinklage is a descendant of Van Helsing, and apparently this character is more like of a con man sort of character.
Yeah.
So they team up and decide, hey, look, I'm going to pretend, you'll go to a village, and when people get tired of you, they'll bring me in, they'll hire me, I'll fake kill you, and then we'll split the money and go somewhere else and do this all over again.
Wow.
I think it's going to
Sounds
be
perfect.
I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be hilarious, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up, man. That sounds That sounds great. All right. What else do we got here?
Labyrinth 2 got a director. They have said, in the past they're going to make a sequel because why the hell not? But
Yeah.
Scott Derrickson, who did Doctor Strange and is
Oh.
apparently not doing Multiverse of Madness anymore,
Hmm.
is going to be doing the Labyrinth sequel. So
Okay.
I don't think we need one. I think you just let that film be what it is. But
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me.
But if if we still had Bowie, I would say go for it.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'll try to withhold most of the judgment, but I think there are other projects that they could have gone ahead with. There have to be,
Yeah, I agree.
Um, and this one confirms a rumor that we heard a long time ago. James Mangold is going to direct Indiana Jones 5.
Okay.
When Spielberg stepped down, the big rumor was Mangold, and this was months ago. But
Hmm.
it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's basically not. It's not a short list; it's a one list, and and it was him.
Yeah.
But they came out and confirmed, like, no, it's gonna be him. We were like, cool, we knew that. But
Right. Right.
so that means Indy dies at the end of this one. So get ready for a sad movie. Oh,
Yeah, pretty much. I'm curious who's the supporting cast and who's going to be around him. I imagine we'll have a lot to do with because they're not going to end this series. I don't think. Who would carry on after him?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I would not hate if they decided to bring back Indy Jr.
Right. Yeah. No. I think,
wouldn't hate it, and I mean, and keep the casting. I
Yeah.
think Shia's had enough of a rebound where I would actually kind of be looking forward to it.
I would too. I doubt he would want to be a part of it, but
Probably.
I completely agree with you. Yes. Yeah. He went through a lot, and it seems like he's trying every day to better himself and be a better person. And you can see it in the films, you can see it in his work. So yeah, I completely agree. It's been a long time since then, and so yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious what they do with that. I really am. But yeah, man, it's Indy 5.
I know, right?
Damn, crazy. That would probably be Harrison Ford's last film, I imagine.
At least his last Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't write him out of voiceover work just because he has a very distinctive voice, like bit parts, like he had in Secret Life of Pets 2. He's perfect. Rooster was fantastic.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, it's good. You really should. Secret Life of Pets 2 is absurd. It's that kind of
Yeah.
funny where it's just like, oh my god, they went this way. Like the villain is an evil Russian carnival owner, and the wolves are evil Russians, and you're like, this is so cliched, and it's trite, and it's kind of terrible, but it's really funny at the same time.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
It's worth checking out, and I'm pretty sure it's on. I think it's on Netflix too.
Yeah,
But
I gotta check it out.
It's-
But I completely agree with you about Harrison Ford popping up, though. You're right.
yeah.
Well, I don't want to get into spoilers here, but yeah, I agree with you.
I think this would be his last Indiana Jones film, though, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got some Muppet news.
Yeah, Muppets Now, which is going to be weird because it's an unscripted Muppets show. It's
Okay.
it's improv with Muppets.
Okay.
Look, man, they've tried how many different iterations of scripting the Muppets since the Muppet Show, and they haven't really taken off. I mean, we've had some good movies. We had Treasure Island and Christmas Carol, and some of them were good. But the last couple of movies didn't take off. The Office Muppets version, even though it was really enjoyable, did not take off. But I really think they're just gonna stick the puppeteers down there and say, okay, and action, and we're gonna see what happens.
Man,
But
can't wait.
it starts July 31st, and I'm excited for it. It can't be worse than some of the things they've tried to do.
Right.
It can't. And I don't know. I'm excited because I want to see what this really is. Like, is it gonna be Whose Line Is It Anyway with Muppets? Because honest to God, I would be so on board with that.
That's what it sounds like.
It seems like it, or it seems like unrehearsed SNL with Muppets.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I am excited for this. I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Look, man, it's better than nothing. I miss the Muppets.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Cool. What are the PS Plus games next month?
the PS Plus games for June. The big money one is Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
That's actually going to be the free PS Plus game next month, which is fantastic.
And it's live right now. It's you can go get it right now.
Wait, what? Shit, really?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the day after Memorial Day. It was Memorial Day they announced it, and they were like, "Yeah, starting tomorrow, you can go download this game and play it."
Kidding?
Yeah, so dude, after the show, download it, dude.
I'm sign into my account on my phone right now and do that. Hell.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. World War II was a great game. I played a ton of it.
Yeah,
with my friends.
It was what people wanted, because I think everybody got so burned out after, what was it, Infinite Warfare or whatever it was.
Yeah, all the future stuff. This was the one that kind of pivoted and said, "Okay, all right, let's pivot back to kind of our roots."
Yeah.
And that's really what it was. It brought it way back to the original Call of Duty games, and yeah, man,
and it was so good. It was absolutely good. Just fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah, it was good. The only thing at the time that I think was people got upset about was the microtransaction, the loot boxes and stuff like that. But as long as you stay away from that stuff, you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any of that. It's typical Call of Duty. You level up your weapon by using it, jumping in and out of matches. Yeah, it's been fun. I was talking to my brother and some friends, and I would love the idea, and I might have mentioned it on the show before, but Warzone's been talked about as being not only a part of Modern Warfare, the game currently, but whatever the Call of Duty is in 2020 or later this year, next year, the year after that, that it would just be this continuous thing. It might even be its own app one day, or its own, like, here's Call of Duty, and it ties into whatever the current year is, right?
Right.
I'd love if you can go in there and be like, Modern Warfare, or World War II, or Cold War, which is what rumored is the next Call of Duty game. You know what I'm saying? Like, set, or just random, or like maybe that year, I guess, it be World War II themed, and all the guns, all the stuff in it is World War II based, or whenever you're on that map, whenever you're in,
right,
that it picks. I guess that would be hard. You'd have to choose the era, because you got people buying outfits and all skins and.
Right, it wouldn't be that hard, but though, just have it as its own standalone. It's like, here's this mode off to the side, like, and every season has its own mode. Right. Obviously, you're not going to have Modern Warfare guns in World War II.
Right. And I guess you would just set your loadouts for, like, this is this era loadout, this is this era loads out, this is this era loadout. They could figure it out, but that would be awesome. Is if, hey, this season, it's for the next 3 months, it's all based off of World War I, and I get that would just be very complicated or whatnot, but if they attach it to each Call of Duty game, man, you got someone like me who never really was into Call of Duty loving it, having a ton of fun. It's the game I go to. I used to play Destiny constantly with my friends, and I got so sick of like feeling like I've got behind. So now I'm a million years behind, and it's not worth it. No matter how caught up I felt, I feel like I wasn't. Where with Call of Duty, you can just jump in. Your guns might not be as leveled up or whatnot, but you can seriously just jump in and have fun, and you don't feel like you're a million years behind. And I don't know. I wish Destiny kind of took some, I wish they took some of that and worked it into what they're doing. But anyway, yeah, man, I don't know how I was going with that, but yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So yeah, download World War II. The other game is Battlefront 2, correct?
Yeah, the newer Battlefront 2.
Yes. So it is the revamped, but not the one that, when it came out, it was originally shunned because of, same reason why the World War II was, the game, because of the loot boxes. It's funny, both of these games were, obviously Battlefront 2 was more in the news about it, but they both kind of had the same problem. It was nothing but loot crates.
Yeah, but in Activision's defense, which is not a sentence I usually ever say, they swung back around real fast and said, okay, fine, we're getting rid of that. EA just kind of was like, how about y'all just fuck yourselves and give us money?
Well, no, hold up. They took it out like the week it came out. Didn't they completely change it the week it came out?
Not that fast. It wasn't that fast.
Oh, my bad. I could be.
It wasn't. No, I'm not gonna say like it took them a year, but I'm fairly certain it wasn't an immediate. Because Call of Duty was immediate. They were like, oh yeah, shit.
Well, remember the game was out before release day. If you digitally like pre-ordered or something like that. And I remember it being international news where they're pulling it. They weren't allowed to sell it in some countries, so they immediately went in and patched it so that you couldn't purchase loot crates like immediately. And then it was later where the whole game was changed so that like you collected money in the game to get the loot crates. You couldn't pay for it. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but I do remember them fairly quickly changing it so that you could not spend money on it. And I remember EA losing a ton of all the money they were expecting to make on it because they said, hey, we're not going to make you pay for extra maps, expansions, or any of this other stuff because they expected to get paid through loot boxes. And I thought it was very quick that they turned that off.
So, so what I'm going through here, because I think what I was confusing was the fact that all of this started basically with the beta. I think I was confusing that with the official release was what happened. Because all that stuff went down during the beta, and then they went on Reddit, and that was a disaster. And then what they did was they cut the price of credits, and they turned down how much you would have to spend to unlock things. And then it was still ridiculous. Because then they also lowered how many credits you got for completing things. So it didn't make any difference. And then EA turned off microtransactions the day before release.
That's what it was, yeah. I remember being there, they were like, I remember hearing that that Bob Iger got on the phone with them and was like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we in the news saying we're trying to put gambling, we're trying to get kids into gambling? Like, what do you, fix this now? Obviously, we don't know the official word or what was said, but that was, the message that I felt when they immediately were like, nope, we're turning this off. God, I hope they learn their I would love more than anything, for a lot of things, but for silly things, I would love more than anything for Disney to pull the exclusive rights away so that we can get some new and exciting things from companies that do something different. I was talking to someone the other day, I was like, Fire Emblem. I'd love a Star Wars Fire Emblem game. I would love different style kind of games for Star Wars, except for, hey, all we got are first-person shooters and mobile games. That's it.
I think a Dynasty Warriors Star Wars game would be fantastic.
Absolutely. So any of these other kind of, I would love for those kind of games. And I don't know, man. So hopefully they learn their lesson. I think we're getting an announcement of a new Star Wars game next week, I believe.
Yeah, what was it? EA? Which EA was it? Was it Montreal?
Yeah, I don't have it open in front of me,
I think it was EA Montreal.
Yeah.
I gotta look real quick, but it was something like they did something on Twitter or said something on Twitter or appeared on Twitter. I don't remember.
I assume it's going to be all a part of the PlayStation thing, whatever's announced next week. Or at least that would be smart to kind of tie it into all that.
Yeah.
As like, hey, here's a launch game. Because they did say, I believe they announced, or Sony said that they told all their developers, all their games from June forward need to be compatible on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Right, which makes sense. And it's Motive, EA Motive. That's where I got confused with them in Montreal. But yeah, they're saying potentially next week. So I think it's going to be... yeah, but they're saying June 3rd. I'm seeing June 3rd brought up a lot, which is the day before the Sony conference.
So I imagine they're going to announce it. They'll probably say, hey, this is going to be for next-gen consoles and current-gen consoles. Set the right expectations. I imagine this will be a smaller game From what I understand, this was off of the bones of what they had before, what they were working on, and they were basically told, "We need a new Star Wars game out." Remember, we don't have to go all into it, but we were told, "Hey, they were going to be working on this giant Star Wars game. We need a game out like this year, not 2 years from now, not 5 years from now, like this year." So, set your right expectations. Maybe like like an X-wing type game, a TIE fighter game, like that kind of like. If it's something bigger, great, awesome.
Yeah.
If not, just expect, if it is smaller, just set the right expectations.
Right. It's going to be a Rogue Squadron style game because this is going to be Project Maverick, which we saw the leaked whatever bit of artwork for. Yeah, it's going to be Project Maverick.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
So just set the right expectations. It's Star Wars, so I'm in. I'm gonna be playing it.
It's gonna be really weird if it's not though, because and the reason I kept thinking Montreal wasn't just because it's Motive Studios, but because they merged with BioWare Montreal.
Right.
So I don't know what the hell kind of studio this is gonna be. Because they did some work on Battlefront 2. And they did some work on Anthem, but this is going to be their first actual, like, they made this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just terrified it's going to be like a card strategy game, Like,
hey, you're speaking my language. They did come out and say expect a smaller, more unusual project. So you're right. It might be dude, I'm all for that kind of shit, but I understand I am... I don't few of many, so yeah.
I don't think you hype up, Hearthstone Star Wars. I think that's a neat idea that you can have somewhere down the line. But
that sounds so exciting for me. See, to me that sounds... I guess I'm way more excited for something like that than I am if they were like Battlefront 3. And I get more people be more excited for Battlefront 3.
I wouldn't want that. The way it's going now, I don't want Battlefront 3. I want something... I would love a new Rogue Squadron game. I think that's what we need.
I tell you what, if you're listening and you've not played Battlefront 2, download it, in June. Since it's technically going to be a part of your thing, it's a fun game now. When it came out, it wasn't. There's a ton there. There's so many maps and characters I've never played in it. So many guns I've not unlocked or whatever, but there's a lot there. And since it's offered now, technically a part of your PlayStation Plus, go play it. It's a shame that it took this long for them to kind of figure it out. But you're absolutely right. I'm not excited if Battlefront 3 will be announced. I want something different. I thought Fallen Order was great. It wasn't my cup of tea.
I loved it. Like this was the Jedi game I was looking for. Oh yeah,
absolutely. I don't know. I'm weird. I like the Jedi Knight series. I wish someone would do a game like that. I feel like any direction they go too far in, like Fallen Order was way more, I don't know how to explain it, like Dark Souls, and I don't also want it too actiony like God of War or anything like that. But I don't know. Anyway, we could get into it for days about Star Wars games, but expect something next week. We'll see. We'll see what they have to do, but I'm excited for that, dude. What do you think? What do you think PlayStation's going to announce? I mean, obviously, I guess the console, the price. You think they're going to drop a price?
I think we're going to get all the details we need on the PS5. I think we're going to get price. We're going to get SKUs. We're going to get. We may get a new model PSVR. At least they will at least discuss that. It may not be announced, but there's going to be. Oh yes, and by the way, we're also developing a second-gen PSVR model, to be announced at a later time. Blah blah blah. But I think it's kind of going the way of the Kinect, where it's like, here's this thing we really want you guys to have with the system, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. But I think here's the thing, though. I think VR can be saved. I think VR on consoles can be saved with a little better, with more software. You need bigger, better software titles.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same kind of thing with Kinect. You needed more integration, and I think people can get hyped about VR. VR is something that has way more opportunity than Kinect or Move by itself did, and I think you can absolutely find a way to make that work. So that may be a part of it. I'm not, you know, I doubt it, but
Yeah.
we're gonna get SKUs, we're gonna get specs, we're gonna get the price, we're gonna get the release, we're gonna get the release date. I don't think it's just gonna be a window this holiday.
Do you think
Unless,
pre-orders will go up next week, or would we know that by now?
well, I
Do you
don't
think they're
know.
gonna go and you can pre-order it now at GameStop?
Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't bet on that. For the same reason, I'm gonna walk back when I said release date. I think you're gonna see release window, just
Okay.
because of the uncertainty with everything that's going on.
That's the other thing is I don't even think you could pay cash at a GameStop right now, let alone
No, I don't think they're
uh
open.
yeah, I don't
Like
so
in terms of in-store business, I don't think they're open.
right. So I think you're right. I'm sure that I think you're absolutely right that they'll probably give a window and pay attention to the news basically kind of moving forward. I definitely hope we get a price. I want to see it, of course, all unveiled. And I hope we get some look at some gameplay at some upcoming games. Maybe they'll have the Star Wars, some more gameplay of whatever this
They'll
thing
have
is.
that. They'll have upscaled. They'll have the PS5 versions
Spider-Man.
of
Yep.
Spider-Man, maybe God of War, probably The Last of Us Part 2.
I never finished Spider-Man. That was I didn't mention that earlier. I jumped into Spider-Man for like 2 hours this week because I was like, I never finished this game. I really should.
Oh yes, you should. Oh man,
Yeah.
that story is one of the best Spider-Man stories. It's incredible, and oh man,
Yep.
tell me when you finish. You've got, yes, please go finish that.
Yeah, I was reading Venom. I was reading a little bit of Absolute Carnage, and I was just like, man, I want to play some Spider-Man.
Yeah, God, I didn't know you hadn't finished that.
Yeah, I
Damn.
never finished it, so I jumped into a couple of hours then. I had to take myself away from it because I had to go do something, but I was like, this is a ton of fun.
Yeah, go finish that. Absolutely, go finish that.
Oh yeah, man. Reading all this Venom and everything has just really got me in the mood for it. So cool. What we got some Xbox games with gold.
Yeah, games with gold this month. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse is going to be the game for the month from June 1st to 30th. Coffee Talk is the half month rollover from June 16th to July 15th. The backwards compatible games Destroy All Humans, June 1st to the 15th, and Cinemora, which is an interesting pull and was a very... It's very much one of those like underrated, overrated games
Okay.
where it's like it wasn't it didn't get the big press that it probably should have because it was a fairly good game, but the indie press like overhyped the hell out of it. So it was one of those where it was like, this is a fine game. Go play it. It's enjoyable. But the big name people didn't give it enough credit. The not big name people gave it too much credit. That kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. Oh, also, real fast, Epic Games, they've been weekly putting out like GTA 5 for free.
Yeah.
This week is Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, so go cop that if you got a PC.
God, that's the last thing it hasn't been free on.
Yeah, exactly.
It was because
Yep.
it was on Game Pass. It was on. I mean, it was a PS Plus game. I think a couple months ago. It's been everywhere.
Oh yeah. But hey, man, I'm all for it. I'm all Epic. They
go
did
for it.
Civ 6, GTA 5.
Yeah, they're
Borderland
not.
Collection.
They're not slouching on the giveaways.
No, I mean Steam doesn't do this, so I'm all for competition, trying to get people on the platform. So
Yep.
I think it's great. Need more of it, but yeah, dude, that's cool. I think that's it. There hasn't been much more news recently. I'm trying to think. No, I haven't seen anything.
No,
We'll talk about.
We'll have
Okay.
more news. I think we'll do next week's episode Friday. That way we've got, we'll have had the PlayStation 5 stuff and all that by then.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be good. You want to talk some Venom?
Yeah, let's talk Venom. I got caught up to Absolute Carnage, which I think puts me at like issue 16, 17, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And damn.
Let's get into some Venom, man. So I want to hear it from you. You, longtime Venom fan. What did you think of Donny Cates' run here? Well, what you've read so far.
Donny Cates' run on Venom has been amazing for me.
Yeah.
As someone who followed, I was always interested in Eddie Brock because Eddie could not win to save anything. He couldn't.
Yep.
He has never had a win in his life.
Right.
His dad was abusive as crap. He ruined his childhood. The closest he ever got to a win was when he finally, he got married and had a career as a journalist, and then because he made a bad call and was like, this guy's the Sin Eater, and then was like, oh no, it's not him, this guy was just a compulsive liar, and now your career is ruined and your marriage is falling apart and your life went to shit and you're blackballed from the industry. That was the introduction of Eddie Brock, was as a failed, disgraced journalist, and his life never got better. The happiest that Eddie Brock has ever been since was the one time as Venom that he brawled Spider-Man on a deserted island and thought he won.
Yeah.
That was the happiest he has been as far as, post introduction to the symbiote. And that was 93. So almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And he has never had a win. He has never had a substantive win in his life. Spider-Man, yeah, he's got the old Parker luck, but he bounces back. He's got a support system. He has good things happen to him too. Eddie does not. Eddie never has any luck at all. Right. And so to watch him, first off, to see the symbiote deal with the resurgence of Null and give the backstory on Clintar is not actually the word for the species. There's this whole other story. And to see all that develop, it's that's interesting. And then, holy hell, when they get into, all of... How many people come to Eddie? Eddie, what are you talking about? That never happened. What are you talking about? What do you mean, what are you talking about? I remember this. Well, there's a reason for that. And to see that play out, the whole idea that Eddie Brock now...
Spoiler alert, we're going to spoil everything, just heads up.
Oh, right. I'm gonna try to be not terribly spoilery, but you have to be kind of spoilery.
There's big things we got to talk about. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The idea that now every Eddie Brock-centric story, everything told from his perspective, he's now canon, an unreliable narrator.
Yes.
So what all actually happened in his life?
Right.
And holy shit. That's a bomb and a half to drop.
Yeah, like I said when I was reading, I felt like he was dealing with some sort of addiction where someone was like an alcoholic and now they can't trust. Wait, was I really that bad?
Yeah.
Was it all in my head? Am I crazy? Or now I don't know. Now I don't know what was real and what was not real, and oh dude, I felt it reading it. And then like you said, Spider-Man, like you said, the Parker luck. Spider-Man, nothing goes right for him, but I felt like this was just on such another level.
This is where literally nothing goes right. Spider-Man has rebounds. Yes, crap falls apart, but he always has some kind of way to bounce back. Eddie just keeps, when you think he hits rock bottom, he bounces to further down.
Yeah.
Eddie has not, and given what's going on with Dylan now, it's still not a happiness thing.
And what do you think about that?
It makes sense in a way. I'm waiting to see what Dylan actually is, though, because he's not. He is not natural because of how he came about. There is going to be something. I don't know if maybe they've addressed it in Absolute Carnage already or not, or it's been a thing. I don't know. Or maybe they'll do it down the line. But there is something that's not... He is not... Technically, he is what they're saying he is. But not in the same kind of human sense.
Right.
Just
keep reading. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, fair enough. Because
it's good.
Yeah, because there's no way. When you find out, oh, this is how he came to be, you're like, okay, well then this kid is not right. There's going to be something wrong here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. It's, oh man, yeah. Our Ultimate Carnage is next. Maybe we'll talk about it next week or the week after. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I've never been this excited to read Venom. He's never been this far up in front for me for reading comics. It's been great though. I loved the inclusion of the Ultimate Universe characters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Maker has just kind of been everywhere. The Maker is just around to get, it's just sort of how many awful things can he collect. He's
Well, yeah,
he's just in it for power. I don't care what he's written in any other comic. He is a villain. He's absolutely a villain.
well, I guess I still don't know who he's working for.
I don't know who he's working for, but
I'm curious. Yeah.
Ultimately, Reed Richards. Here's a phrase. Ultimate Reed Richards is only ever out for himself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nah.
I agree. I agree to a point.
He's
interesting in in Absolute Carnage because he's very much a part of that.
Yeah. And you can see that in Venom, where he's taking great interest in just the idea of symbiotes in general.
It's really the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And
right.
It's curious. It's super interesting seeing him like, hey, I know you think I'm a bad guy, but fuck this Carnage dude. Like,
well, but and that's the thing. Like, he acts in his own self-interest. Sometimes his self-interest means he has to play along with the heroes. He has to play nice.
Right.
But he's an ass.
I agree.
He's evil as shit. He's only looking out for himself.
Absolutely, and that's I love the idea of an evil Reed Richards because that could be the most dangerous person in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw that in the Ultimate Universe, and what happens when he's left unchecked and has time. I mean, he had 1,000 years in the negative zone to build an entire civilization, and just about conquered everything.
Yeah.
But
from what I understand, the Ultimate Spider-Man run right now, I haven't read it, but I understand that's currently kind of like Miles checking in on all these Ultimate characters, and they're now starting to realize there was another universe. I feel like they forgot it at some point in time.
I imagine it faded after a while. But I don't know how the repercussions of that are going to go. I hope they're not going to relaunch the Ultimate Universe because they've integrated these characters in the main line now.
Yeah.
I feel like just leave this be what it is, at least for the time being.
Yeah. I love the characters. I'm glad they're not forgotten. I'm glad that someone is like, hey, there's some characters over here like Jimmy. What's his name? Jimmy Higgins or he basically the Wolverine's son. Those are the big ones. Wolverine's son, Reed Richards, and Miles. And some other characters that made their way over. And I'm glad that they're not like, oh, hey, this idea is just gone now. That they are a big part of this. That's why I like them being a part of this comic because I kind of forgot, like, oh yeah, Venom played a big part of what happened with Miles.
Venom, yeah, Ultimate Venom killed his mom.
Exactly, yeah. So I thought it was great, and I don't know, something spoke to me, the way he wrote this, and
it's so good because and seeing Brock deal with everything, and watching his reactions, that's been the great thing about all of the like Spider-Man centric universe kind of characters. They have almost always, whether it's been the Ultimate Universe or the regular continuity, the Spider-Man villains have always at their core been human. Even somebody like Norman Osborn, who was fucking insane. Mm-hmm. It was a very, like, you could look at that and say, okay, I see how this insanity developed. So many other characters, good or bad, you don't get the same sense from. Like, it doesn't, the logical progression of the emotion doesn't track.
Yeah.
But you understand why these characters do the things they do. You get why Doc Ock went on his entire crusade to become superior and everything that led up to that. You get it, and it makes sense, and you kind of sort of empathize with a lot of these characters because you get where they're coming from. Flint Marko is a great example.
Yeah.
Flint in the comics is very much like he's a bad guy, but there is at his core he was not an evil person.
Right.
But times change and things change. Rhino was a great example. The original Rhino, Alexei, whose last name I can't remember. He is a fantastic example of this.
Yeah.
And Venom is another one who they would tap into on occasion to do that with. You saw that with Anti-Venom when, it's like, well, he's got cancer, he's homeless, he's dying.
Right.
Was any of that actually true?
Yeah, valid. Man, I'll tell you, Ultimate Carnage is better than I expected it to be, because I was like, there's a million tie-ins, but even just if you stick to the regular Absolute Carnage, they dive into a lot of what you're talking about.
And I feel like that's what I need to do, because when I looked at that, I was like, Jesus, this is like looking at all of the tie-ins for Absolute Carnage is like looking at the reading list for the original Civil War.
Yeah, you really need to read the Absolute Carnage and then Absolute Carnage, the Venom ones are really the important ones. Spider-Man plays a big part of it, and there's I think of them as scenes when I'm reading it, I guess, but there's major scenes where it's just Spider-Man and Ed. It's just Eddie and Peter sitting down talking at a table.
That's what I'm here for.
And who's the kid, Eddie? Why the fuck is there a kid here, Eddie? Yeah. We need to talk about this, Eddie. And it's Eddie and Peter, and it's like I said, that's my favorite part of the Ultimate Carnage is just the Eddie and Peter, and like, what do you mean you have a kid? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolute crazy. So it's good shit, dude.
But no, I'm gonna keep digging through that, because watching his response, not just to the trauma with the symbiote when it was going crazy, and then dealing with, no, it's sane, but now it's got all this crazy shit it can do. Now it's going away. Now we find out that it's manipulated his memories, and he's gone through this trauma that didn't actually exist.
Right.
And and now it's silent. At least it was at last when I read. Like, now it's just it's still a part of him, but it has no personality. It's just a tool now. And
no, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's gone at the end of it, right?
It's not. He still has. Well, because I'm
trying to think of the end of the. No, I think it goes. It leaves, because there's issues where it, at the very end of this, it leaves. The Venom suit, the symbiote.
That's right. It does. It bails on him. That's right. I remember that.
And because it's interesting, because it's weird how this is. I hate that there's been so many different things that have kind of, Marvel. They have big events, so they have to tie it into it. But the first couple volumes, which is like the major, I don't know what issues 1 through 12, is one story.
Yeah.
Then there's like 4 issues that's not even a part. Like, if you go out and look for Venom Volume 3, it jumps ahead 4 issues.
Right,
and it's because those 4 issues are War of the Realms.
Right.
And in those 4 issues, I'll spoil a little bit part of it. It's not a big spoiler or anything, but Eddie in those Venom issues, and like the Venom issues, those 4 Venom issues, there's no Venom. He's not in the suit. It's not a part of him. Venom plays a part in War of the Realms. They're 2 separate characters, and I've never thought of it like 2 separate characters before. I guess I did, but not as much as they dive into this, as they really talk about and. They're really 2 separate characters that have in this relationship.
Yeah.
And in War of the Realms, the Venom symbiote plays a big part of the space stuff with Thor and everything else. And Eddie is like, how do I handle this situation without my symbiote? And he
through a magic crystal.
Right, exactly. And so so after that, then you get into the Carnage stuff, and I won't talk any about that.
Yeah, because that's where I'm up to right now. I think I'd just finished War of the Realms. I think is where I'm at.
Yes, yeah, and I like that he didn't have it, and in his head he was like, okay, I need to flip this switch and turn Venom on. And even though the suit wasn't there, the mentality was where he was like, okay, I can kill these people because these people are murderers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he has to do everything to stop himself.
Right. Because he has that moment where he's like, he doesn't have Venom to blame anymore. He's like, this is all him. This rage, this anger that's driving him on to fight and kill is all coming from him, and he has to square with that. And
Yeah.
that's what's great about this whole series is watching Eddie Brock deal with decades of trauma.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
it's fascinating, and it breaks your fucking heart.
Yep, and you absolutely, and you can see it in him. He's like, this isn't me. I'm not the one doing this, but is it me? It's like a part of, yeah, absolutely, dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
You nailed it. And yeah, it's fascinating to read. I absolutely love it. Donny Cates is on fire right now. I just started his Thor run, and he really does well with these just destroyed characters. Thor, all the trauma that he's gone through and what he just came out of, and I don't know. It's so far it's pretty good. I there's like 4 or 5 issues out, so, but yeah, man, I absolutely loved it. This made me a huge fan of Venom. I'm gonna be picking it up weekly. I don't think it's back out yet because I think Marvel's only had like a week. I think back.
Maybe.
Yeah, everything's very sparse. I think comic shops just opened up this week, in some places. Obviously not others. So, I look forward to everything kind of getting back to normal, to being able to start reading this weekly. But, dude, it made me such a huge fan, and I can't wait to see what comes. Like all the lore and stuff they've now set up with how do you pronounce Krull?
Null. Knull. Yeah.
Yeah. All the stuff they've set up with Null, and they've really put Venom up on Front Street with this. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, how, even with the symbiote gone, Eddie's still dealing with that.
Yeah.
And that's what's weird. Like that's what makes us fascinating is the scars left behind and the shit that he still has to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time he's had Venom hallucinations. The last time he did that, he woke up in a hospital and tried to kill Aunt May.
Yeah, that's why I feel like sometimes, and I've heard Donny Cates talk about his issues with addiction, and I feel like I can see that in the writing.
Yeah. And
the way he writes this with Venom. I feel like it's like an addiction to him, or like something that I don't know. I don't even know it, but I feel like I feel that in his character.
Yeah. And it's because it's something that he's always had, and when he hasn't had the symbiote, he's been in this terrible, awful place.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about that episode in the hospital, they see him there and he's having hallucinations of Venom talking to him, and they realize he needs help because they see his wrists, and he's tried to kill himself to get rid of Venom. And that's why in that first issue where he's talking about the migraines and everything, and there's just that panel where he glances over and there's a razor sitting there. It's a big time call to that, and saying remember how damaged he is. Remember how broken he is and how hard he's had to fight just to get back to this point.
Yeah.
It's intense. It's
really
hella
is.
intense.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man, it was such a good read.
But it's and it speaks to the codependency of relationships and how far, these two people are in, Eddie Brock is in what turns out to be he's been gaslit.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's literally because he's had memories put in his head that didn't happen specifically so he wouldn't leave, so he wouldn't get rid of the symbiote. It tells him that straight up when it's finally confronted with it, and he's like, "No, I did this so you wouldn't leave," and he's just like, "Man, fuck you, get out, go." So now this relationship, not only is he alone, but he doesn't know what all was real and what wasn't. He has a better idea of what memories weren't actual memories, but he has this trauma for things that never happened based on the manipulation of this partner that he's depended on for years and years, and how much of that was a lie. Like he is in a terrible place, and so he's clinging on to the one, like, he has a son, okay, protect your kid. He had a shit example of a father. He does not. He admittedly knows nothing about being a parent at all, except one thing: protect your kid.
Yeah.
So he's starting from there, and that's where I'm at right now. It's like that's it. He knows one thing: look out for the kid.
Yep, and that's just there's so many layers to him, and obviously you knew way more about him than I did going into this, but I just felt like, oh my god, this dude's an onion. There's so many layers, and then now that with the son, it's like you're absolutely right. Protect at all costs. Yeah. Now this is what I'm here for, and oh boy, it gets interesting. One crazy little thing I thought was pretty cool was the Flash Thompson thing.
I love that. God, I love that, and that broke my heart all over again.
Yeah,
and then the fact that because when they were talking about that, I remembered and I'm pretty sure it was in the end of Spider-Man 800 where they have the funeral. I'm fairly certain I remembered Eddie being there, but he didn't remember being there. And then he remembered that he was there. Yep. And so to have to, like, that's the thing of, like, not just having trauma and having to deal with trauma that didn't happen, but then having trauma and having to have dealt with it, and then having to go back and deal with it again because it was erased.
Yeah.
So you have to face this trauma again, and then you realize you have to face it again.
Yeah.
Like, that is madness. That is actual madness, and it's crazy. But I'm so glad that they're finally saying no. Eddie Brock as a character has been around forever, and has never like, look at all the shit that's happened to him, and he's never really gotten his due. And I think that's finally what's happening here. And my hat's off to Donny Cates for doing it, because this is the Venom story that needed to be told. There needed to be an in-depth look at what it means, because we've seen how many stories about what it means to be Spider-Man and what you have to give up to be Spider-Man, and they're great stories, but Venom has an adjacent story, has a parallel arc in so many ways, and it's never been touched. Almost never. I'll say that there have been very rare instances where it's been touched on, but not to this extent. And this is the extent that it should be touched on. Like, this is a story Venom needed.
Yeah, I think moving forward, years from now, people look back and go like, that is one of the biggest runs for Venom. You know?
No question.
It's defining, and for old fans like you and for people like me that saw Venom is like, oh, that was a cool drawing, that was a cool character in the 90s, and I always thought it was like that Eddie's story was and then they didn't pay attention for the longest time, and it's like he's finally getting everything he deserves. He's finally getting his right up front. Here you go. Here's a character. And I'm 100% behind it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I can't praise it enough. I'm so glad you liked it. Or else this would have been a weird conversation if you were like, no, I don't like anything they've done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, I absolutely loved it. And I can't wait to read more. See what's gonna go on. See what's gonna happen. Maybe we'll talk about our Absolute Carnage next week or whenever you finish that up.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because it just the 5 issues? Because there's 5 issues on Marvel Unlimited.
There's 6. It's technically I don't have it. It's in the other room. There's a Web of Spider free comic day thing that's included in the graphic novel.
Okay.
I will. I'll give you that information. Hold on.
I'm sure it's probably on there somewhere.
Yeah. Carnage. Yeah, I'm sure it's on the Wikipedia or the Amazon. It should say there's issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue. It's also really weird the way it's broken up. Like, issue 1 has 3 chapters. It's very odd.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think the graphic novel that I purchased, the one that has like all of them together, there's one Absolute Carnage 1 through 5, but there is a free comic book day Spider-Man / Venom that is a part of it.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of spin-offs that you don't really need to read. Like, there's a Dracula one, and like, it's all sorts of crazy stuff. Sabretooth, I don't know. There's like there's But there's a bunch of Miles Morales ones, Scream, Deadpool. You don't need to read any of that stuff.
No,
All you really need.
I imagine the big ones are obviously the main series and probably Venom and at least one of the Spider-Man titles.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And there was but they were setting up Absolute Carnage for like 6 months to a year. I could tell. I looked up online and there was like references in everything. A guy with a sign saying, Carnage is here, Carnage is gone, or Neil the was Noel or whatnot. Like all that stuff has been just peppered into comics for it was like 6 months to a year. And it was all leading up to that. And from what I imagine he'll be doing one of the next big events moving forward. And I imagine Venom will be a big part of that. Because Donny Cates he's just taking over everything right now at Marvel. I imagine that's the next guy who's going to do Avengers. I guess that's kind of how it went. Jason Aaron did everything for a little bit, and then they put him on Avengers. I imagine Donny Cates is like right there behind him, where they're like, "Hey man, you're doing great.
Yeah,
let's put you on it." But yeah, I'll send you the information on what to read for the Absolute Carnage, what's a part of the graphic novel. But yeah, those 5 plus I think the free comic book day one. I think the free comic book day basically sets everything up.
probably.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, man, I think that's it for everything this week. We'll be back next week, talk more about Avatar. We'll get into Absolute Carnage, and we'll talk about the PlayStation 5. That'll probably be a big part of next week, and what Sony has to offer. I'm excited.
Yeah, I hope I hope that there's a lot of information, and also there's a lot of gameplay. I want to see these things, and I don't want to see here's gameplay and then have the little disclaimer at the bottom of whatever. I want it to be no, this is gameplay captured from the PS5.
Yeah, absolutely.
But otherwise, you're just wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
Really. But, I want to see a couple launch titles announced. I want to hear them talk about upgraded versions of some of the games, because that's going to be a thing. But, it'll be interesting, as long as there's a price and a release window and some release titles. I think that's because that's what people are waiting for. We have the tech specs and everything, but we're waiting for a price and a release and a launch lineup, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yep. Hope that all drops. But yeah, we should get most of that information next week. So we'll be back probably we'll record around the same time next week.
Yeah.
Once everything comes out. So cool, man. Well, awesome. Make sure you go to our YouTube, We Geek Podcast, Twitter at We Geek Podcast, all the social media at Adam Estep, at the Logan Witt, wegeekpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Captain.